Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Soul Sessions. And with me today, he is the prize fighter, Dean Ford. Welcome to the show, Dean.
Thanks for having me. How are we?
We're very well, my friends. Another day in the glorious country of Scotland. The sun's beaming out. I'll take it. No complaints from me. So, if to our viewers who are not too familiar with yourself, Dean, how was your initial introduction to the world of professional wrestling?
So I started watching wrestling when I was about 5 years old, I believe. I think it was around 98, 99. I'm not 100% sure, but it was around about that time. Just through, I first seen it through my cousin. My cousin's 11 years older than me, and I'd seen it through him, and then didn't see it again. And then I can remember it was like a Saturday morning, flicking through the channels when I was a little kid, looking for something to watch, and I had Sky One at the time, and I turned it over, and it was the Undertaker was cutting a promo, but it was during the Ministry of Darkness era, and and they had the promos in like this kind of church with strobe lights and all that, and he was doing the eye roll at the end, and I was like, I don't know what this is, but I'm intrigued, so I just kept watching, and then 25 years later, I'm still here, so there you go.
That's a hell of a journey, my friend, as well. I mean, speaking of the whole Ministry of Dark era as well, obviously the Attitude Era is such a memorable moment in professional wrestling. For yourself, Dean, as a fan, is there any moments in there that you feel like stand the test of time?
During that era, there was so many, like the ones that still get played today, like Undertaker throwing Mankind off his cell, a lot of the kind of TLC and ladder matches for that era with like the Hardys and the Dudleys and stuff like that. I think there's so many. If you round them all off, you'd be here all day. Do you know what I mean? But
not enough days of the year for all that awesome moments of the past. Now, obviously, as going from a fan to training and all that, how did that next step happen for you?
Yeah, so I always, since I was young, I always loved wrestling. Since I started watching it, all I wanted to be was a wrestler. But at that time, there wasn't a great exposure over here. So, as much as I still loved it, I started to get into martial arts when I was 11. I started kickboxing when I was 11, so that kind of took me all over the world. I had a quite successful career at that. And then when I got to, I think I was about 21, I started to lose interest a little bit. And that's when, I think it was 2014 or 2015, ICW had really started to get big. They had their documentaries and stuff on BBC. So that's when I first realised there was an independent scene in Scotland.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of came at a good time where I was kind of losing interest in the kickboxing, and then this kind of independent scene blew up in the UK, especially in Scotland. So that's when I decided to give it a go.
Good on you, sir. Honestly, good on you. You mentioned your kickboxing career as well. Do you feel like there's some aspect from kickboxing that implement very well into the world of professional wrestling?
Yeah and no. Like there's some that I think made my transition easier, and there's some that I think made my transition harder. Okay. If that makes sense. So like, obviously I was very athletic already. I was used to performing in front of a crowd, although obviously a bit different. That side of stuff was fine for me. The issues I had was going for a kind of full contact sport where you're trying to hurt people to then get into a performance sport where it's almost the opposite. Learning to sell and learning to pull strikes when everything I've learned for the 10 years previous was the total opposite. Like when you're hurt, pretend you're not and stuff like that. Hit people as hard as you can. Don't let people know that you're throwing punches. And then wrestling was like turned upside down. So that did take a little bit, but I think there's probably more pros and cons going from martial arts into wrestling.
Yeah, of course. I couldn't imagine as well. But it must have been like a very good, not I want to say like a big starting point for you, giving you a bit of a head start. Like you've done some contacting sports and all that, and you know how to throw a punch and everything. It really does seem like it was a good benefit for you.
Yeah, 100%. And obviously the kind of style that I decided to go for due to my experience kind of complements that. So it definitely helped in their regards.
Good to hear, man. Good to hear. You mentioned ICW as well, and ICW seems to be such an important aspect of not only the UK wrestling scene, but by particularly the Scottish wrestling scene as well. For you, Dean, what does ICW mean for you as a Scottish wrestler?
If I'm honest, without ICW kind of blowing up, I don't even know if I would be a wrestler. I might have been, but it's certainly not at that time period. That was the first time I can open my eyes to the scene, due to the guys kind of carving a path for all us. And I think a lot of guys that kind of started round about the same time as me, or even later, I've got ICW to thank, because how big they got, and it gave us a lot of opportunities, because a lot of imports were coming to Scotland to work for other companies as well as ICW, and it just put eyes on all the other companies as well, because ICW was doing so well. So I think it was a great thing for the Scottish scene, especially at that time.
Absolutely. Well, we've had some former ICW wrestlers on, Shaman A, Emily Hayden, who's done some work for ICW, and they've mentioned their favorite moments. For you, Dean, what's some of your favorite moments from ICW?
As a performer or as a fan?
Let's go both. Why not? Let's go for a double whammy.
As a fan, like the storylines when I first started going, just unreal. Like one of the storylines at the time was BT Gunn and Mikey Whiplash, and it was like they're just constantly trying to one up each other. BT would come out with Whippy's face paint on, and then it kind of unveiled the oddity character with the skin mask and stuff like that. All that stuff was amazing. I thought it kind of reminded me of the Attitude Era, because the storylines were so kind of out there and different to anything that was really happening anywhere else at the time.
Of course, absolutely as well. Obviously, you mentioned ICW. You've wrestled for ICW as well, so and tag matches. You tagged with Molly Spartan as well. I just want to talk about tagging along with Molly as well. What was that like for you as a performer?
That was really cool, man. I hadn't done a lot of kind of mixed tags, and it was during the kind of COVID era, so there was it was closed door tapings and stuff. It was difficult. It was different, because as a performer, you're relying on the fans to kind of set the tempo, or kind of give you that feedback to, right, are we doing well, are we not doing well, do we need to change stuff? And now you're wrestling in front of nobody, and you're just having to guess what's going on. But the days as well, we had to record like 3 matches in the one day, so it was very, very quick. We didn't have a lot of time to kind of in between, so that was a new experience for me. But Molly's a great performer. What she's doing now, just her work speaks for itself. Angel Hayes as well, one of my really good friends. It's always a pleasure to be in with her, and Sakib. It's 3 people I know really well, so I really enjoyed that.
They're absolutely doing well at the moment. ICW's current champion now is El Capitan, Leighton Buzzard. Want to know, Dean, maybe in the future, do you think you would ever want to challenge for the ICW World Championship?
Yeah, of course. I mean, in this country, I think you'd be mental to say no. I've shared the ring with Leighton a few times. It's been a few years, and I know he's doing great things, so it'd be good to test myself against him and see where I'm at.
Absolutely as well. And if you were to become the ICW champion, what would some of your goals you would want to be representing ICW? Would you want to be putting on great content for the company, or would you want to be a traveling champion?
Sorry, can you repeat that? My connection went a little bit.
No worries, pal. I was saying, if you were to become the ICW World Champion, would you want to become a traveling champion, or would you want to be a strong representation for the company?
Probably a combination of both. Like, I think it's important to be at most of the shows and show that you're the champion of that company. That it doesn't matter what company you are. Like, you see people that win a title somewhere, and then they're too busy doing other stuff that they're not representing that company. It doesn't look great, but at the same time, you also want to take that belt other places, and you're building the company as well. If you're able to take that belt to other promotions, and you're showcasing the company as well as the match. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Of course, absolutely, pal. Now, you actually hold some gold at the moment. One of your championships you hold right now are the PWB Tag Team Championships. I want to know, becoming a tag team champion and wrestling a tag team style, is it quite a hard thing to change from being a singles competitor, or is it quite easy to go into tag team style?
For me personally, it took a bit of fine tuning. For especially early on in my career, I was always a singles guy. And tag wrestling is something that I always enjoyed watching as a fan. Like the Hardy Boys are probably my favourite tag team of all time. Their feuds with like, the Dudleys and Edge and Christian and stuff are obviously iconic. But actually transitioning to do it myself, it did take a bit of work. But now that I've kind of got to a level, I really enjoy tag team wrestling because I think it just gives you a totally different dynamic. Like most shows in Scotland anyway, there's maybe 6 matches. You'll have one tag match, so you're already standing out for every other match in the card. You can get away with things that other matches can't get away with. There's 4 guys instead of 2. It's just there's so much more dynamics and kind of cooler stuff you can do, I feel, as a tag wrestler.
Oh, absolutely. It's great assets and skill to have in your repertoire. Now, obviously, being the PWB Tag Team Champions, there's going to be other tag teams that want to challenge you. Is there any tag teams that you're looking at, Dean, and thinking, that's a worthy challenger for these belts?
There's so many good tag teams just now. Like the UK scene as a whole is mad. Like even if you go down to England, every promotion's got a different roster. There's so much talent. I've been lucky enough to face a lot of good tag teams in Scotland and England. Like myself and TJ recently defended our tag titles against Danny Hope and Joey Hayes, the models, in November past. That was really good. So I'd love to mix it with anybody.
Oh, hey, good to hear, man. Good to hear. And obviously, the United Kingdom's divided with Scotland, England, Wales, and Northern Ireland. From yourself, looking out as a competitor and a fan, each part of the UK, what are some of the main aspects you see differing from Scotland, England, Wales, and Northern Ireland wrestling scenes?
Scotland and England, especially, I think there's a major difference in the kind of setup of the scene. I feel Scotland is mostly kind of family friendly shows, with a few kind of indie type shows, and ICW is the only really kind of over 18s, where I think England there's more of a mix, and I'd say the style of the shows is a lot different. Like there's more kind of independent type shows where you can get away with doing different stuff than the traditional kind of family friendly stuff. But that's what I love about the scene. I love being able to go to different places and different promotions and wrestle loads of different styles, like be it on the holiday parks, family shows, independent shows, over 18s, hardcore shows, whatever. I think that's what shows you how good you are as a performer, and that's how you grow, is by learning how to appease to all these different crowds. Because if you don't wrestle the right style in front of the right crowd, you'll absolutely bomb and they'll boo you out the building. So I think that's very important. I don't know too much about the Welsh scene, if I'm honest. I know, is it Wild Boars got a new promotion?
Aye.
It seemed to be doing really well. But I don't know too much. Ireland is a place that I really would love to go, because they seem to be really, really causing it now. So I think they're kind of going for a more independent style as well. But that's a place that's been on my list for a while. So I'd love to get over there at some point.
Well, who knows? Maybe we might see the Dean Ford UK tour in 2023, taking on the whole of the UK independent scene. I would be happy to see that,
man. I would love that.
Hey, go for it, man. Now, you would recently win the last year at the Pro 2 Wrestling Joker Division Championship. Winning that title, what did that mean for you?
That was really fun. Like the kind of situation of it. So myself and Logan Smith have been kind of feuding for that title for almost a year now. So just firstly having a promotion that kind of involves you in a storyline, lets you kind of tell stories and come up with a lot of your own creative is really fun, because I've never really had the chance to do that much.
Mm-hmm.
And Logan's someone I've knew for a lot of years, so being able to work with him so much is great. But the dynamic of the feud, I think, has been really well. He won the tournament to be the inaugural champion.
Mm-hmm.
I jumped him from behind, we went into a feud. I won the belt, he won it back. We then, the last match we had, it was like a double pinfall. One ref declared me as a winner, one ref declared him as a winner. So right now we're actually dual champions. So that's something I'd never done before. That's quite different. So the next show, it will be a ladder match for the undisputed title. So that's one I'm really looking forward to.
Yeah, you mentioned that ladder match as well for at Pro 2 Brew Station as well. Their main event ladder match. Ladder matches are something. We've had Shawn Michaels and Razor from WrestleMania in the past. We've recently had some great ladder matches like Cody Rhodes versus Sammy Guevara. For you, Dean, preparing for a ladder match, what are some of the aspects you feel you need to be cautious for when doing a ladder match?
It's totally different for anything I've ever done, and but at the same time, growing up in the era wrestling that I watched, they kind of matches are the matches that I always wanted to be involved in. Ladder matches, TLCs. Obviously, being a big fan of the Hardys, that was, as a kid, that was the kind of stuff I was mimicking in the house without actually coming off ladders, like jumping off the couch and stuff like that. In terms of preparation, I don't really know how you can prepare for a ladder match. It's one of the things I think we all go into with great ideas and ways to win, but until you get hit with that ladder or fall off the ladder, I think nobody really knows. It's almost similar to the old Mike Tyson phrase, everybody has a plan to get punched in the face. I think in this case, everybody has a plan to fall off a ladder. So I am really looking forward to it, but as I say, I don't really know what's the best way to go about training for it, but we'll just go in and wing it and see how it goes.
Well, I like that. That's the Scottish mentality. Wing it and see what happens. But I have a feeling and a hunch, you're a guest of the show now, Dean, so I'm putting my support behind you. You will be the undisputed champion by the end of that ladder match. I have 100% guarantee for it, my friend.
I much appreciate that, brother. Thank you.
Where's my friend? Now, obviously, we're just starting the year of 2023. We're now in February, technically, as well. And looking forward to the rest of the year, what are some of the things you want to cross off your end of year bucket list, my friend?
I feel as if this is a statement year for me. Last year was more so just kind of getting back to the swing of things after COVID and stuff. It was kind of a first full schedule back. This year, I've really want to make a statement. Really want to kind of prove the level that I'm at and show that I can mix it with the top guys. Like, I think in the Scottish scene, your top guys are probably Leighton Buzzard and Daz Black, I would say right now. I believe I can hang with them. I'm at that level. I think I just need to prove it. Need to break out. The more companies all over the UK, I'd love to just show people what I can do. And there's no point talking about it. I need to do it. So, as they say, actions speak louder than words. So that's my plan for this year.
Exactly. You need time for the plan, just time for pure and utter action. You get out there and you take every opportunity you can, get all the gold, and represent Scotland the best way you can, my friend. I 100%.
100%. I've got 2 belts in the house. I think there's still a bit of room in the wardrobe for a few more.
Oh, absolutely. And one thing I want to mention the top one as well. The whole wrestling world is sort of interconnecting. We've got people going over to Japan, coming over to the UK, and UK going to the States. Is that on your plan as well, Dean? Maybe going over to Japan or the States and being a representation for Scottish wrestlers?
100%. I've always wanted to travel, and especially with the different kind of styles, different countries. Like, obviously I think my style would do well in Japan because I obviously throw a lot of strikes. I hit very hard. I like being physical. But even like I'd love to break out into Europe, like Denmark, Germany, places like that. They also have a very physical style. It's almost like a kind of mesh between the British and the kind of Japanese style. So Europe's always been on my bucket list, but I think for me personally, Japan would be the dream. Like that style just works for me. Like I think I would learn so much mixing it with the kind of traditional Japanese guys and can I test my metal to see how good I really am.
Oh, good to hear, man. Good to hear. I want to pass one final question over to you, Dean. If there's someone viewing right now, even from the States or even Japan or even in Europe, and they want to know what the whole UK scene is about, what is the defining term would you say represents the whole United Kingdom scene?
I think there's so much talent in this scene. It's absolutely overflowing. You could look at any company in Scotland, England, Wales, Ireland, and you'll find stars. A lot of these guys just need opportunities, myself included. There's so much talent. They just need an opportunity to prove it.
No, absolutely, pal. Hey, you never know when someone could be the biggest star in the world unless someone gives them a reach and say, hey, this is an opportunity for you. You take it, you make it, and you become the best professional wrestler you can ever be. I think that's the best way.
100%.
Absolutely. Well, Dean, I very much appreciate you coming on the Soul Sessions. And everyone, thank you very much for tuning in. Dean's Instagram will be down in the description below. If you want to follow him and find out more about him and his future, follow him down there. I've been your host, Soul. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in for the Soul Session.